Okay, so yesterday we were talking about build pipeline, and we have went ahead and created a new build pipeline as well. So let's continue the same topic. So this was the build pipeline which we have created. Let me do a quick clone again. I don't have this copy now. Okay, so this was a project which we have created. Let me go and open the project again. Quick recap. We have created a build pipeline for building a ASP.NET web core application. This was a build pipeline which we have created. It got multiple tasks such as installing NuGet packages, installing NuGet, restoring NuGet, building the solution. So this is the place where your application is getting built right now. Okay. Then publishing your artifact. So in order to access this artifact, we need to have access to the location. So yeah, using this publish method and putting the artifact into a drop location, we are able to access our application. Okay. Now using this publish method, we were able to put in the zip file in the drop location. The drop location is nothing but it's a location which you can access, which your release pipeline, mainly your release pipeline can access that location. Okay. Now the next part is yesterday, if you have noticed, I have run everything manually. The everything was getting everything like the build pipeline was getting executed manually. There was no automation, anything as such. Now, why that was the case? Because in true manner, we are talking about continuous integration. Then your build pipeline, whenever there is a push, your build pipeline, everything should run automatically. It should not happen that anyone is coming and doing it manual. Whenever there is a new change, like if I'm going making change locally, whenever there is a new change, the changes should reflect automatically in my remote repository, and then my build pipeline should trigger automatically. As if now that is not the case. Because if I want to run, if I go and make changes right now, so my project is still loading. If I go and make changes right now on my local, and if I try to execute my build automatically, that will not happen right now. Why? Because we have not enabled continuous integration. What we have not enabled? We have not enabled continuous integration trigger. How do we enable trigger? Let's go and see that. Let's go to the build pipeline while the project is loading. To enable trigger, there are multiple ways of enabling trigger. Now, when you go and edit your pipeline again, at the top there is an option of triggers. Okay. In this trigger option, you got enable continuous integration. Now, when you enable this option, then only your trigger will get automatically your pipeline will get triggered. Now, along with this enable continuous trigger, there is something called branch filter. So your trigger is set to develop branch right now. There you got three branches, main and release as well. But your trigger is set to develop branch. What does this mean? Whenever there is a change at the develop branch level, then only the trigger should happen. If there is a change at the release branch level, then this pipeline should not run. There should be a separate pipeline for your release. Okay. Whenever there is a change at the main branch level, this pipeline should not run. There should be a separate pipeline for your main also. So go back to your branching and merging strategy and think how we were setting up the pipelines. Remember the diagram of branching and merging strategy, wherein we got develop branch, and along with develop branch we had build pipelines, along with build pipeline then we had the release pipeline. So this is the same example. From develop you got a build pipeline. This is how you'll be enabling continuous trigger with your build pipeline. Okay, So this is what at this level you will define that. Okay, so this is your continuous integration trigger. Now let's save it. Now what will happen with this trigger whenever you make changes locally? Okay, like I'm just making changes locally, testing CI, that's a continuous integration. I'll save this all, run a build. Okay, this is the build is completed. Now if I try to push this change, so your build pipeline should run automatically. Okay, before I jump on, I saw multiple issues with people using this project, mostly related to SDK. So guys, if you have any such issues, go to your properties option, right click on the application name, go to properties. Okay, make sure the target framework is set as 3.1. One thing. Second is make sure, wait, these are the options, these are the settings which you make sure, because sometimes if it is 5.0 or something, you may end up getting errors. Okay, so make sure this is 3.1 because this is my 3.1 project and this is the one project which we will be deploying. So make sure this setting is set to 3.1. Okay, if not, then you may end up getting error. Just keep that in mind. Okay, so once we are done with the changes, we'll go ahead and commit the changes. So something like testing CI. I'll do a commit all and push. So what will happen? Everything will get committed locally. At the same time, it will get pushed to my remote repository. So what exactly we are testing, whether my build is running automatically or not. It should not happen that I should do things manual. So let's go and refresh. The things are pushed. Perfect. Do you see the build started running automatically? Release 2 got created. Testing CI based on these second changes, the things are started running automatically. This is in a true manner, you can call it as continuous integration. Okay. While this is running, let's go and edit the pipeline again and see what all options we have. Now, continuous integration are of multiple types. There are multiple conditions which you can put in for continuous integration. What are the condition? One of the condition you saw, branch filter. That if there is a change at the develop branch level, then only the build should run. One condition. Like include, you can also have something called exclude. Like you don't want to run when there's a change in the release branch. So you can have such options enabled. That is called branch filter. There is an option called path filter. Now this is very important option, guys. Path filter is basically, now as if now, let me go back to my repository and show you first. As if now this is the only application we got inside my repository. This is the only application what we have inside our repository. Now in reality, there is a great possibility that you may end up getting multiple application inside the same repository. You may end up getting multiple application inside the same repository. Now those multiple application will have individual build pipelines. Just imagine there are 5 application over here, like how you have Valaxy DevSecOps app. Just imagine there are 5 application inside the repository. And if we go just with the branch filter option, don't you think if I push anything to any of the application, all my 5 pipelines will start running automatically? Because I have set branch filter as my develop branch. That means if there's any change on my develop branch, any change, whether it is change in application ABC, application XYZ, whatever application it is, if there's any change in my develop branch, all my pipeline which is related to develop branch will start running, which we don't want. Okay. For example, just imagine these are five application: bin, object, page, property. Just imagine this is your application. If I'm making changes into the pages application, then only my page build pipeline should run. But what's happening right now? All my build pipeline is running because I have set branch filter as developed. Now, how do we overcome such issues? These issues can be easily overcome with the option called path filter. With path filter, what you can do, you can include path this way. Now, what will happen whenever there is a change inside this application folders, then only the pipeline will run. If there is change outside this folder somewhere over here, outside, like if I'm making a change to readme.md, which is in the develop branch, your pipeline will not run. Because what did we add? We added that if there is a change inside this application folder, then only this particular pipeline should run. Second condition, path filter. And this is very much in real time. These two conditions you'll be using a lot, guys. Combination of these conditions is something you'll be using in real time. Path filter, which will filter based on path, branch filter, which will filter based on branches. Okay. Now, if you want, you can have something called exclude over here. Now, just exclude is more. Just imagine within this folder, if you don't want anything to get executed, if there's a change in the bin, you don't want anything to get executed. Something like this. So if you go and make changes to the bin folder, though it is inside this particular application, it will not, the pipeline will not get executed. So this will take precedence. This exclude will take precedence. So the first testing I'll do it, I'll make changes outside. So I'll go and make changes something to the readme.md file. This file, like suppose I have something additional added to it. Owner info. Okay. Something like this. I'm just putting owner info. This is, I'm making a commit. So I made changes. If you see, you will find a new commit by me. So if I go with the branch filter option, it should run my pipeline, but there is no execution right now. The second release, there's no third release created. All thanks to the path filter option what we have. Now, how do I test that if I make changes inside the folder, inside this application, then only my build pipeline should run? I can easily do it. Firstly, I need to do a pull, guys. Pull. The reason I am doing pull because I made changes manually to my remote repository. So there is one commit which needs to be pulled. So I'm just pulling the changes. If you don't do a pull, it will not let you commit. You need to merge everything first. Okay, so that's why always a good practice when you start your day, pull your clone copy and make sure your clone is up to date, and then start working with your development. Start doing your development. Okay, I'll just remove this CI part, save it again, build it again. Then I'll go and push it. Testing path filter option. So this is, we are making changes inside the application. So I'm updating the index.html file. Now let's go and do it. So this should go and run my pipeline now. That is what my expectation is. Let's see if it is running. See, it started running because this is inside the application we are making the changes. Let me cancel this. I don't want this to run unnecessarily. Okay. So inside this application, so the path filter is working. Now in the path filter, we have something called exclude in the bin folder. So if you make changes inside the bin folder, if there's something where I can make changes. It's not letting me do error. Let me look for some other file. These are all configuration files. Okay, forget about it. Let me add something to this. Let me add a file to it. Test.txt. Test file. Okay. So this is where I'm making changes. I'm making changes inside the bin, and which is I'm making change inside the application. But I got one exclude condition that if there's a change inside the bin folder, your pipeline should not trigger. Okay. Something like this. Let me see if the pipeline got trigger. Refresh it. No, there's no trigger happening. So these are the two conditions based on which your pipeline will get triggered and your pipeline will be not triggered. This is mostly you will be using 60 to 70% of time branch filter and path filter combination you will be using in reality, because in reality you will end up getting multiple applications inside the same repository. How do you filter out those? Very rarely you'll get any one one repository, one application. Very rarely you'll get, if not application, then you'll have multiple modules. Those multiple modules will have multiple individual build pipelines and release pipelines. So keep this in mind, guys. This is what you will do in reality, having path and build filtration option. Okay. Anyone has any questions while any doubt over here with the path and build filter option, because this is very important. And we'll be having the same options in YAML also, guys. So I'll show you how do we set up this same thing using YAML scripts also. But for now, let's understand Classic in a great details. Let's understand the concept. Once you understand the concept, we can implement this with YAML also very easily. Okay. Anyone, any doubt, any suggestion? Okay. No doubt, no problem. All these are given in the assignment. Make sure to complete those assignments. This application which I have created, this application may have been uploaded on the portal till now for your access. So if you want, you can go and directly use my application and try to create this build pipeline by yourself. Okay. The next trigger option we have is schedule. This is more like cron job. If you have worked on Linux, we got something called cron job, wherein you can trigger your pipeline based on any specific timing. Like if you want to trigger your pipeline on Monday 3 p.m., then you can go and set up this schedule by yourself. There are multiple schedules which you can set up. One of the schedule is you can have a weekly schedule, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you got timings as well. Like if you want to run this pipeline Monday 3 EST or IST or whatever you want. Like if I say IST, then it will be somewhere like this. So 3 midnight IST, this pipeline will get run on Monday. Along with it, you can also have your branch filter, that if there's a change in the branch, then only the pipeline should run at 3. Now this is one condition. If you want to add some more schedule, like on Tuesday, you want to run it on 4 IST, something like this. So what will happen? Automatically your pipeline will run at 3 on Monday, and on Tuesday it will run on 4 on Wednesday. This is how you can go and set up schedules for yourself. if you want to run this pipeline automatically at this specific time. Okay, so this at this point of time, your pipeline will go and run automatically. Now you will not have now in this schedule you will not have, like, if you want to run something on 30th of the month, so that option is not available, guys. Now if you want to run on 15th of the month, if you have any specific days or month, then you don't have that option. So this is only week, day and time. Those are the options which is available with you for scheduling your pipeline. Okay, so this is the third condition through which you can schedule your pipeline. First condition, branch filter. Second condition, path filter. Third is the schedule. Now we got fourth trigger condition, that is build completion. There's an option called build completion. This is grayed out right now. The reason it is grayed out because we don't have any pipelines. Build completion is basically, it will build your pipeline based on other build completion. So this build will trigger when the previous build got completed, like some other build pipeline got completed. Now that option is not visible over here because this is the only pipeline we have. So you don't have build completion option over here. But let me see some other project. I don't think we have pipelines over here. No pipelines over here. Let me switch to a different. Okay, this is a different account. I got multiple pipelines over here. I'll be just showing the build completion part to you. Okay, in the build completion over here, this is not grayed out. So just imagine your build is dependent on some other build. This particular build is dependent on some other build. There is a chain of build which is running right now. Okay, so just imagine that. So once, like, just imagine if this DB build is completed, once the DB build is completed, then only this particular build should run. If you have any such requirements, you can do something like this. Once the DB is completed, then only your this particular build pipeline should run. It is not just with one build. If you want to add some more conditions, that the DB and the Java build should get completed in order to run this build pipeline. So this is something you can also have as an option. So how many options did we talk about? We spoke about branch filter, path filter, schedule, and last but not the least, we got build completion. Okay. Once the previous build gets completed, then only the current build should run. That is the condition which we are talking about. Okay. Wait. Let's switch back to our own project now. Okay. So this is your different types of triggers which you can put in, which will actually make your build pipeline a continuous integration build pipeline. There are more options to this pipeline like variable. This is something I'll talk about later in a great details. Option, this is more related to your, this is based on this format which you see over here, your build are getting triggered. Your build release is getting created. So this, the numbers which you see over here, the current date and the release number, this is because of this format. In future, if you want to change this format, you can do it. You got something called build authorization scope, build job timeout, and build job cancellation. These are some properties which are set. You got some status batch. So if you want to put this batch somewhere, like, it will basically show you the status. Okay, whether the build is failed, current status. If you keep on, if you add this, so this is more if you want to keep things on your dashboard. And if you want to show the status to someone, this is where you can use all this option. Markdown link, image URL. This is more, this is how it will look like. The status batch if you put somewhere. As if now it is showing cancelled because I have cancelled the build. The same thing you can put it wherever you want. So this is more browser centric. If you put it on your browser, you can get your status. For example, if I put this on browser, you should see status like this. If I go and run the build again, it will show you running over here. So this is more from the monitoring perspective. If you want to put this pipeline on monitoring on some other tool, then you can make use of this URLs. Okay, this is history. Whoever is making any changes, who has created the pipeline, when was the what was updated. If you want to know more about what exactly was updated over here, you can go and see the compare the differences. You'll get a JSON format. So this is the previous version and this is the one which you changed. So what did we add? We added a trigger called branch filter. So if you see this, there's a branch filter trigger which was added. So if you want to know who has made change and what exactly was changed from the previous to the latest version, this is in the JSON format. You can see this. Okay. So this is all about classic build, guys. If anyone has any questions, any doubt, please do let me know, or else we can move on to other part wherein we can understand what is continuous delivery and continuous deployment. If anyone has any doubt, any questions, please do let me know. Anyone, any questions, guys? Any doubt with all this build option? Hopefully you guys are trying setting up this pipeline and everything by yourself, because this is very simple build I'm showing right now. Tomorrow we'll convert this into YAML. Then later we'll have Java application, Java Spring Boot application, wherein we'll have unit test cases, we'll have a code coverage, then we'll have static code analysis. So I'm talking about very big build pipeline. So if this basic concept is not clear, then it will be very difficult for you guys to understand the other important concept wherein we add all these important things. Okay, so make sure, it's okay if there's no question, but make sure you practice. If you don't practice, then it's not a easy way out for you guys. You have to practice, understand the concept well, then only you can move further. Okay.
Hi, Rohit, it's Victoria. Um, so I'm having issues with my Visual Studio. I've tried reinstalling it, ticking all the boxes that you said, and it's still not working properly. So I've created a web app, which is fine. But I don't have the options to like do the debug and the IIS Express thing. That yeah, it's kind of weird anyway. So what I'm asking is, can I still do the rest of it if I'm not able to test it locally?
It's okay. You can build your, are you able to build your application?
Not locally.
Yeah, locally you're able to build. You don't need to launch the application basically in a debug mode, but if you're able to build,
Okay.
that's more than enough.
If I'm okay. All right, then I'll just do that then. Thank you.
Which version of Visual Studio you're using?
Um, I installed 2019 yesterday, and then today I installed 2022, and I get the same thing. When it looks different from yours and other people that I've worked with. I don't seem to have some options.
That's okay.
So,
You're able to build, your application is getting built successfully. Try to push it, create a build pipeline, and go further from there. You can try to build it directly.
okay, I'll just build it from Azure. Okay, thanks.
No problem. Okay, guys. So the next topic is, we'll have whatever build we have created. This build we have created, we need to deploy this build. As if now we'll do the deployment manual. Will be not manual. I'll be using the pipeline itself, but the infrastructure and everything I'll be creating manual. Later we'll have, when we learn infra as a code tool, then we'll try to automate this using templates. Okay, for now we'll do things manual. In order to start deploying, there are few concepts which we need to learn. That is continuous delivery and continuous deployment. Now we need to understand what exactly is continuous deployment and delivery first before we jump on and start doing the release part. Now the release, again, in release we'll do using classic method, guys, as we are following classic. So I'll do, even the release will be done using classic method, but later we'll automate everything using YAML. Later we'll automate everything using YAML. Okay, keep that in mind. Okay, now what is continuous deployment and what is continuous delivery? Can someone tell me what is the difference between a deployment and delivery? Anyone? Anyone who is working as a DevOps engineer want to share what is deployment and what is delivery? No one? No differences, guys? Why do we say continuous delivery and why do we say continuous deployment?
Is one where it's like not fully automated and one where it's like fully automated.
Yeah, kind of. Very good. Anyone wants to add something to it? Okay, no problem. Let me go and take you through what is deployment and what is delivery. These are very important concepts and important methodology in DevOps. Your CI, the first part, the continuous integration, and the other part is deployment and delivery. Now think of a delivery, continuous delivery. How do we define delivery? Think of delivery that your build got completed. Now using continuous integration, you were able to build your pipeline successfully. Okay. Now once the build gets completed successfully, your changes gets deployed, your artifact gets deployed automatically to your lower environment. I'm taking an example of lower and upper environment. Lower will be my dev and QA, and the upper is my stage and production. Same the branching and merging strategy, guys. Go back and just visualize the branching and merging strategy PPT. Okay, the diagram which we have created. So in continuous delivery, what will happen once your build is completed, once the build is successful, automatically your changes will be deployed into dev and a QA environment. Once it gets deployed into a lower environment, then your stage environment pipeline will get triggered. Stage is upper environment. Now before it gets triggered to stage, there will be some sort of pre-approval. So it's a manual intervention in between. Pre-approval, it could be anything, might be the QA is still testing if everything is looking good in the QA. Now QA has not given the go ahead. Now QA gives you the go ahead, then your manager will go and approve your stage. Then the changes will be moved into stage environment. Post that, you may have some sort of post approval. What is post approval? The changes are deployed into stage, and over there you want to do some sort of dynamic testing. Now you want to do some sort of integration testing before it goes to other environment. So again, over there you will need some sort of post approval. Once the approval is done, the changes will go in production. Even in production, it's not directly you will push the changes. You will have some sort of approval, pre-approval and post-approval in production as well. Now, in this continuous delivery model, we follow release cycle mostly. So daily you're not doing such releases in release cycle. So your company, you may have a bi-weekly release, fortnightly release, monthly release, quarterly release, whatever cycle you guys follow. And if you have such release cycle in your company, then you guys are following continuous delivery model. What you're following? Continuous delivery model. Continuous delivery model, the build gets triggered, the changes get deployed in the lower environment automatically. For the upper environment deployment, you have manual interventions, wherein people are manually approving the change. Then the changes, even though it is all automated, there's nothing, you got the pipelines, you have the expertise, you have the capabilities, everything you have it. But Just think of it's a monolithic application. It's a quite legacy application and you're not sure that if I deploy directly, what will be the impact. So in order to safeguard yourself and your application, you're making sure there's a manual intervention. People are testing it manually and then deploying the changes. In such cases, you will have continuous delivery model. Now, continuous delivery model, if you basically ask me, it's an automated release process. We can deploy our application at any time by clicking a button. So there is a human who is coming in, clicking on that button by after reviewing, then only it's an automated process, guys. As I said, it's an automated process. If you want to deploy things automatically, also if that is possible, but it just the team doesn't have the confidence on the application, and the build is not that robust that if anything passes the build has no issues. If you have any such doubt, then you will follow this option, continuous delivery model, wherein you will have a person clicking on the button to approve it. With continuous delivery, we can decide to release daily, weekly, fortnightly, or whatever suits your business requirement. So this is more like the traditional release cycle, what you have. Like if you guys have attended any release cycle, this is very traditional, wherein you have n number of teams joining a call during the release day, and people are then releasing it in production and then asking everyone to test if their application is working, if their functionality is working. This is more like a monolithic application. Okay. Nowadays in microservice world, we don't do anything as such. Okay. But yeah, in monolithic world, where all your modules and applications are tightly coupled with each other, then this is what you do. Very traditional, and this is 60% of time in companies who have monolithic application. This is what you will see. This method you will see, continuous delivery model. What happens with continuous delivery model? The codes gets deployed into lower environment without manual intervention, but for upper environment deployment, manual approval is the must. The major drawback of continuous delivery. Now, continuous delivery is in a true manner. It's not DevOps, guys. DevOps says once your build is done, everything looks good, the changes should be made available in production as soon as possible. With container delivery, we don't have that option. Okay. Now, anyone, do you want to share whether you follow continuous delivery model in your company? If you guys do production release, anyone who is doing
Um,
production release?
so it looks this looks similar to what we deploy. Um,
Yes.
so
So
yeah,
yeah,
we
so you
do
guys,
develop, and then there's a QA branch, and then once it passes that, then we're able to deploy into the upper like staging environments. We've not quite got to prod yet, but we're almost there.
Yeah, this is very similar to my environment too. We do deploy all the way to production, but yes, we use approvals at the lab stage, lab validate stage, create change metrics, and then production stage, all approvals.
perfect. Yeah, this is a classic example. So mostly I think it would be monolithic application which you guys are using right now. Not just monolithic, guys. Nowadays I see even microservice application, the company, the team themselves, they don't have the confidence of doing the other way around. So yeah, if mostly 80 to 90% of time, if your company is having a monolithic, then what do I mean by monolithic? Like I say monolithic so many times. So monolithic is a legacy application, guys. So it's all built together. Like the applications are sharing the same databases. There are multiple applications sharing the same databases. The modules are tightly coupled with each other. If you make changes to one module, there is a great chance that you may impact the other module. That is what legacy application means. That is also known as monolithic. Monolithic is nothing but it's a big stone. Okay, so that is from there the word monolithic came in. So this is legacy,
Uh,
wherein, yeah, tell me.
Sorry, quick question regarding that. So, a legacy application could still have multiple services, but the only difference is that they're just tightly coupled together when you're comparing them to microservices. I'm just trying to make sure I understand that properly.
Now that is tightly coupled together, and very important part, they are sharing the same databases. In microservice world, if you want to have different microservices running, in microservice world, they have their own databases. Each application will have their own databases. If your application is sharing the same database, that's the major part of your monolithic application. In microservice, you have got each module, each application, they have their individual databases, and they are loosely coupled. In microservice world, they are loosely coupled, not tightly coupled. If you make changes in microservice world, if you make changes to one part of your application, the other part is not impacted. Like for example, the shopping website. If you're making changes to the child product page, your electronics page is not getting impacted. If you're making changes to the shopping cart module, your other modules are not getting impacted. But in the monolithic world, legacy, firstly, people are not sure what's there because that is built 20 years back. Now, if they're trying to make changes to one of the application, they see there is an impact on other application. Hence, whenever in monolithic world, whenever we do such production deployment, we got the complete team joining the call. Some of the team members are there, and they when they deploy the changes, they ask everyone to go and check if everything is looking good. So yeah, answering to your question, in my monolithic, first condition, it's tightly coupled with each other. Second, they're sharing the same databases. Okay, hope that makes sense.
Yes, thank you.
No problem. So this is continuous delivery model, guys. Now the second model is continuous deployment. Now in continuous deployment, we got the same build process. Once the build is completed, we got changes getting deployed to my lower environment, that is dev and QA. Post that, you got the changes deployed into stage and production, and there's no approval in between. Now in deployment model, continuous deployment model, once you have this build successful, the changes will be gone till production without any stopping. The only thing can stop this production deployment if the build fails. If the build is not failing, the changes will be deployed till production. That is continuous deployment model. In true manner, this is what DevOps culture is all about. If you have done your build, if your build is robust enough, if you're able to run all the unit test cases, if you're able to do code coverage of more than 95%, and if you have static code analysis in place, which is doing all sort of an analysis, then there's no need of stopping. It can be deployed till production. This is mostly we use it in microservice world. So continuous deployment goes one step further than continuous delivery. With continuous deployment, every chain that passes all the stages gets deployed till production environment without human intervention. If it is passing this dev, QA stage, there's no stopping. The production will also be deployed successfully. With continuous deployment, only a failed test will prevent a change to be deployed to production. If this is failing over here, then only it will stop anything going in production. With continuous deployment, we can completely bypass release day. There's no release day, guys. No release date, not joining the call in the midnight or in the mornings, on the weekends, nothing. As soon as you do the development, your changes will be deployed in production, and it will accelerate the feedback loop with the customers. No release date concept over here. This is continuous deployment for you guys. Now this is Continuous deployment achievement is not that a small task, guys. Let me tell you. For monolithic application, definitely is not a small task. This is definitely applicable for new applications who are using microservice application, wherein you got everything created as a image, wherein you're deploying things on a Kubernetes pods or containers. All these infra, you have the latest technology setup, you have the infra ready, you have your application which is getting built loosely coupled, it's getting built. One application will not have any impact on other application. There are so many criterias to take care. Once you have everything, then you can think of achieving continuous deployment mode. You cannot achieve continuous deployment with monolithic. Monolithic has to get converted into microservice, then only you can achieve continuous deployment. That is the main reason, because in company nowadays they got production which is running from last 15-20 days, 15-20 years, not days, and they don't want to touch those. Okay, but slowly and steadily they are migrating one application, one modules at a time. They are migrating to microservice world also, but slowly and steadily that is also happening. Sooner or later you can see most of the companies are following continuous deployment model. Okay, but yeah, in continuous deployment model, only one condition: your build should be very robust. You should have everything in place. Even with continuous deployment model, you can have automated testing, guys. Now, like suppose in the build, in the QA, you got your code deployed in QA. Now you can have something called over here a gates kind of thing. A gate is like a stopping. Like you want to have a 60 minutes of time gap before it goes to the other environment. So this 60-minute you want to run some sort of automated testing. It could be dynamic testing, integration, any sort of automated testing you want to run. So yeah, so when the QA is deployed, it will wait for 60 minutes. You can have quality gates. I'll talk about these gates when we start actually releasing the pipeline. So we'll have quality gates over here. Post this, it will wait for 60 minutes. Post that, it will go and deploy things into stage environment. So this is not manual intervention. This is just you are having some sort of gap in between. No one is coming and giving the gap, guys. No one is coming and deploying things manually over here. It's only the gate thing which is stop making sure that there is automated testing which is running right now. Once the automated testing is completed successfully, then only it should go to stage environment. So if you want to have such conditions, even in continuous deployment model, you can still do it. It is still fully automated, no manual intervention. Okay. So this is continuous deployment for you. Two important thing: continuous delivery. Continuous delivery, there are manual interventions, approvals in the upper environment. Continuous deployment, no manual interventions, there's no stopping in between. But yeah, if you want to have some sort of quality gates enabled, that can be possible with continuous deployment. Okay, so this is what actual integration, delivery and deployment means, guys. Anyone has any question with, so please do let me know. Hello.
So if you add the quality gates, the times in this continuous deployment, if you notice something at that stage, what would happen?
If you have have your automated testing, suppose, and after automated testing you found something weird, for example, now you can have conditions over here that you want to fail your pipeline. Okay, suppose everything got successful but you see there is something weird, then you can go and cancel your build, cancel your release. Basically, you can go and manually cancel if you have found something, but if you don't manually cancel, it will go and get deployed till production. So you can go and manually cancel it and abandon the release then and there. Or else you can have conditions in your automated testing itself that if you found something weird, then cancel the pipeline automatically. If you want anything as such, because what will happen in container deployment model, each stage is dependent on the previous stage. QA is dependent on dev, stage is dependent on QA, Production is dependent stage. If anyone fails, like suppose the QA failed, this will not happen. This will not run. This QA failed, gone. Your release is gone. You have to go and look into why exactly QA failed. So if you have any sort of automated testing in QA which is failing, it will not let this release go further. So that is what condition of continuous deployment. Your build should be successful, 100% successful. Each stage should be successful, then only it will automatically go in production. Make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
No problem. Anyone else? No one? Okay. Before we go to release, guys, there are two things which we need to learn before we go and release a pipeline. We need to learn about service connections. In order to understand service connection, we need to understand what is Azure Active Directory. So tomorrow we'll understand what exactly is Azure Active Directory. What is a different way of authentication method in Azure Active Directory. Then we'll create a service connection. We'll need to understand what is service connection. Then we can go and deploy a first application onto Azure web app. That is what we'll try to do. Post that, we need to understand what is agent pool. We haven't learned about agent pool yet. So we'll need to learn agent pool. So service connection and agent pool, these are some prerequisite topics which we need to learn before we jump onto the continuous deployment or delivery model. Okay. So we'll try to complete this topic during this week. So I'm not doing the deployment right now. I want you to go and understand these two basic topics first. So that is something we'll do tomorrow. Okay. Post that, we'll implement release pipeline. Okay. So I think we'll stop over here, and tomorrow we'll start with Azure Active Directory and service connection. Anyone has any question, doubt, please do let me know, or else we can wind up the call for today. No questions, guys? Okay. Thank you very much. Make sure to practice. You still have time to create your build and see if the build is if the build is running. If you have any issues, any error while practicing, take a screenshot and put it in the group. There are people around who has already done the part, so they can help you. If not, I will definitely help you. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your time. Let's meet up tomorrow and let's start with service connection topic. Bye bye.